Genesis was having an out-of-body experience. Again. How else could she explain why she was hovering over her own bunk bed, watching herself make out with Sage, if not through the power of astral projection? It was physically impossible for her to be up this high, floating at the top of the ceiling of the tiny A-frame cabin where she lived. Clearly, her spirit was soaring above her body to the beyond. It was as if she were a ball of light and energy floating in space. Genesis felt a sense of complete peace wash over her. But that was quickly replaced by a sudden panic. If she was up here, then who was down there inside her actual body? The figure in bed certainly looked like her. Purple tie-dyed t-shirt and frizzy brown hair and a long French braid. Freckles sprinkled across her face. But Genesis was not controlling the legs that were now intertwined with Sage's, nor the fingers that were running through his glorious curls. She couldn't feel his pillowy lips brushing against her own. "You don't know how long I've wanted this," Sage murmured, breaking away from the kiss and staring into Genesis but not Genesis's eyes. "I'm in love with you. I love everything about you." "But that's not me!" she yelled from the ceiling. Like a TV set to mute, though, no sound came out of her. "I'm up here! I'm up here!" Genesis flailed her limbs, and then suddenly she was falling straight down. Just as she was about to collide with her alter ego, she woke with a start. She rolled over on her lumpy mattress and squinted at the early morning light streaming in through the cabin's tiny windows. "I know you're up there," Ocean said, making her own bed on the bottom bunk. "But you're gonna have to get your butt down here because it's our turn to milk the cows, baby." So Genesis hadn't been astral projecting. She hadn't even been lucid dreaming. It's easier to do cousin in which you're able to control your actions during a dream, either. Nope. She'd just been having a garden variety sexy dream. Or really, sexy nightmare, when she considered the likely chance that Sage was her half-brother. All the kids on the ranch were raised like one big family. Genesis wished the earlier generation had really thought through this whole communal parenting concept and how awkward it would get for everyone come puberty. She took a deep breath and pressed her head against her pillow. "I'll be out there in a few minutes," Genesis said, reaching below the covers for her phone. "I'm just going to, meditate first." "Wow, that's so dedicated of you," Ocean said sarcastically, and went outside. This was a running joke inside Astralia, the poorly named community Genesis called home, since nobody had actual time for spirituality anymore. They were too busy running a business, milking the cows, tending to the crops, baking the bread, not just to feed themselves, but farmers market patrons across the state. It was all part of the community's image rebrand that had been going on over the last decade. The Australians were no longer radicals who disavowed the ways of capitalism, religion, and nuclear family in favor of communal living and a shared belief in the power of meditation and hypnosis. It had been years since the townspeople of Violet, Montana, had last cowered in fear at the sight of the members, or grabbed their hunting rifles and threatened to shoot the demons they believed possessed their souls. That era ended when their founder, Jimmy Joe James, described as a young Leonardo DiCaprio but in need of a shower by the media, making women flock to the town in WWJJJD t-shirts, was arrested for money laundering and sentenced to 30 years in prison. The early 2000s were an exhilarating, terrifying time, or at least that's what Genesis had heard. When all the excitement was going on, she was no bigger than an heirloom tomato inside of her mother's uterus,